Rika Humphreys. I'm a resiliency coach. I work with women who have a spouse with cancer, and I teach them how to handle all the stress and overwhelm, how to feel back in control of their life again, and how to gain the confidence to handle anything that comes their way. You're watching this video because your husband's got cancer and you're feeling miserable. You're probably totally overwhelmed. You've got a lot on your plate. You're taking care of the household, kids, maybe work, and now you've got everything that cancer brings with it. You may be feeling a lot of loss, like you lost your life or at least control over it. You lost your equal partner, and maybe even you feel like you've lost your future. And I'm sure you hate watching them suffer. It makes you feel totally helpless. It's a lot, and it's tough. I want to tell you a little bit about my story. When we found out my husband had cancer, it was a total shock. We had a 5-year-old daughter. I was working full time. Overnight, everything in our world felt like it turned upside down. And our lives became all about cancer. The hospitals, chemo, surgery. That first year was a total blur. We got through it. A couple years go by, and my husband's feeling a little strange, and we find out he has a brain tumor. Within days, we are in the hospital again, and he's getting brain surgery to have it removed. And while we're there, we found out the cancer from earlier had spread to his chest. So we enter the whole thing again. But that second time is when we found coaching and started learning tools on how to cope and how we could think differently and what we actually had control of in our lives that we felt like we didn't. It changed everything for both of us. What I learned made all the difference. And I wish I knew right from the start. Dealing with cancer is hard. It's hard on everybody. But there's a lot of suffering that's totally unnecessary. And that's what I want to help you with today. There's 3 things I wish I knew right from the start. So whether you are a brand new caregiver or you've been at this for a while, these 3 things will give you some relief. The first thing I really wish someone would have told me is that it's not your job to fix their pain. We hate watching them suffer. We feel helpless. But that helpless feeling, it comes because we're trying to control something that is simply not in our control. Their pain and suffering is not something we have control over. Really hear me here. When we're trying to control something that's not in our control, the energy it creates is sort of busy and desperate. That's not what we want. So instead, I want you to take a breath and remind yourself, it's not my job to fix this. You can't fix their pain. And when you're able to really accept that and allow yourself to believe it, it will totally change your energy. You'll be able to be calm or loving or maybe just present, and that will help them so much more. There are a lot of areas that you can control, but your husband's pain and suffering is not one of them. So stop trying to control something that you can't and release yourself from that responsibility. The next thing I want you to know is that your pain is just as important as theirs. All human beings feel pain, and no one person's pain is more important than another. Yet this is really easy to forget when our husband has cancer. So I want you to think about it this way. Imagine you have 2 kids, one's a 5-year-old, one's a teenager. The 5-year-old has skinned her knee and is hurt and crying. And the teenager has just had a breakup and is feeling sad and rejected. Now both are feeling pain, and both kids' pain is totally understandable, and you would tend to them both. Maybe in a different order, you might treat the 5-year-old first. Maybe you have to clean and bandage her knee, but both of them are suffering. It's easy to see that when it's our kids, right? But that's how it is with us and our spouse as well. How you'll know if you're doing this is if you are dismissive or feel guilty anytime you're feeling bad about something. So if you're angry or frustrated or upset or just tired and worn out, and right away you feel guilty for feeling that way, or you dismiss it and think, oh, at least I'm healthy. That's when you're telling yourself that your pain and suffering is not as important. This doesn't really serve us. It doesn't serve your husband, and it doesn't serve you. All of our emotions are totally valid and okay to have. But when we deny them, what will end up happening is we will stuff them down. And a lot of times that becomes resentment. And you will end up resenting your husband or blame them for not taking care of yourself. That's what can happen when we deny our own emotions and believe that they're not as important. Now, of course, we don't intend for that to happen, but it does. And it's very easy when it seems like what their needs are so great. Your needs are just as important as well. And it's really important that you can recognize what you're going through is equally hard, just in a very different way. We each have our own path. So remember, your pain is just as important. You need to allow it, acknowledge it, and don't make it mean anything about you. It's there to remind you that you need to take care of yourself as well. The last secret. This is a big one. You don't have to be a victim to their cancer. Now, if I use the word victim, you may not feel like a victim. But if you're thinking any of these thoughts, you may be more of a victim than you realize. Why did this have to happen to us? I can't keep doing this. Seems like there's no end in sight. He shouldn't have to suffer. All of those thoughts cause us to feel powerless. And that's what I mean by being a victim, is when we feel powerless. We feel like we have no control. Now, here's the great news. It's not what's out there that causes our feelings. It's not the cancer or watching them suffer or the fact of our changed relationship or all the stuff we have to do. That is not what causes our emotions. Our thinking causes our emotions. How do we know this? Well, take, for example, two people can go through a very traumatic event, and they will have very different experiences about it because they will think about it differently. This is something that requires a little bit of a mind shift. So I want you to start taking notice of what it is you're thinking about your situation. And in general, most of us have some thoughts, a couple of thoughts that we say on repeat in our minds, and often those things aren't serving us. Those are things like, I can't keep doing this. That's what I kept telling myself. It was a total lie, and it didn't serve me to keep saying that to myself over and over again, because you know what? I did keep doing it. Today, I just want to introduce the possibility to you that what you think is in your control. And it's really important that you just start noticing what it is that's going on in your head about your situation that's causing you to feel helpless. You don't have to just survive this. You can truly not feel like a victim to their cancer. So let me review really quick the 3 things I wish I knew right from the start. It's not your job to fix their pain. Your pain is just as important, and you don't have to be a victim to their cancer. I want to help you discover your potential. I want to help you not just survive this period, but grow and become stronger and gain the confidence to handle anything that comes your way. I want to help you discover your own strength. I want to offer you a free coaching session. Bring me whatever you're struggling with the most, and we'll work through it together. Or if you're just curious on how my program can help, sign up for a free coaching session. You don't have to just survive this. You can feel back in control of your life again.